What's up, fellow internet denizens? I enjoy magic in my stories, from the whimsical to the structured, and I especially enjoy it when it is consistent. Every so often, though, I encounter magic choices that range from baffling to infuriating. Let's start off with some minor grievances and work our way up, shall we? I used to love Pokemon, and I still come back to Platinum from time to time. However, there are a few problems that I have with the magic here. We have a standard rock, paper, scissors type system where every type of attack is good against some types but bad against others. However, some of these matchups don't quite make sense, especially the types that counter Dark type. With Bug, it just feels like they needed something to make Bug types not suck. But fighting's already pretty good on its own. Also, why is Dragon only good against Dragon? Shouldn't it be good against a couple other types like Poison or Flying? Furthermore, why isn't Gyarados a dragon? Why is he a flying type if he can't use Fly? Why isn't Charizard a dragon? Why aren't there Bug Dragons? I want Bug Dragons. Let's talk about something I actually enjoy now. I loved Mashle. However, the power scaling bullshit needs to end. So in this world, there are people with marks on their face that show how powerful they are with magic. Some people have no marks and are thrown into concentration camps because they have no magic. Our hero has no mark, but he draws one on his face as a disguise in order to infiltrate the most prestigious magic school, and he uses his super strength to do things that normal magic users could do with a spell. A little while on, it's introduced that there are some people who have 2 marks, and they are very rare and very powerful, appearing at a rate of about 1 per every 100,000 single liners. Then suddenly they become more common because the plot needs a bigger threat for our hero to beat. Every enemy Mash faces after a certain point has at least 2 lines. This is the top magic school, so you'd expect a lot of them to go there. I am fine with that. My problem is how they fight. At first, Mash and his friends have to work very hard against double liners, but now it seems they just all go down like chumps. In the most recent arc, a 3rd line is introduced, and I am actually okay with this because it is explicit how rare this is, how it tears your skin open, and how you have to bind with a god to get it. I sincerely hope it stays that rare, and that if Mash fights one, I hope that it's epic. My point here is, I do not like magic systems that are seemingly designed to give main characters a challenge only for this new thing to become the norm, and the next powerful thing to be introduced ad infinitum. This is why I can't watch DBZ. On the other hand, sometimes the worst magic systems are ones that come out of nowhere and then just vanish for the rest of the series unacknowledged. In Samurai Champloo, this guy comes in with ki powers for an episode, fights Mugen, and never shows up again. Mugen learns to use ki powers here, but those also never show up again. This show is a historical fiction period piece, and there's no real indication of magic elsewhere, except for one episode that you should never watch. If you're going to add ki powers, at least have Mugen use them in more than one battle. Samurai Champloo is a fantastic show otherwise, and I highly recommend it. Just skip over the whole episode and the baseball episode, and you should be solid. In Lair of the White Worm, we not only have a magic system that seldom shows up, but we also have actual pseudoscience being used as magic. The pseudoscience here is mesmerism, which is hypnotism's red-headed stepbrother that nobody talks about anymore. Normally, I would forgive such a magic system, as I am a big fan of magic based on pseudoscience, such as alchemy and ley lines. You can do so much there. However, this book doesn't use mesmerism well at all. It's just kind of mentioned a couple of times as a means by which the villain tries to break people telepathically, and it's barely described at that. This was written during the period that people actually believed in mesmerism, so it's unclear to me whether or not this was written as magic or not. Alright, let's talk about something a bit more modern. I have only read the first book of Lightlark, and then I gave up. You have 6 magic types, each with curses that keep the users from reaching their full potential. So far, so good. I love magic coming with a price, but then you actually read into it, and it gets pretty bad. So the sun people have firepower, but can't go into the sun. Makes sense. The sky people can airbend, but can't fly. Alright. Then you have the moon people who live by the sea and can waterbend, but every full moon the sea will drown them if they're outside. Why not just take the moonling land and push it somewhere else that isn't by the sea? Then you have my least favorite faction. The wildlings can wield nature, but they have to only eat human hearts, and they always end up killing their lovers. This raises so many questions as to how they have sustained a stable population for 500 years. They mention that the hearts are sourced from criminals, but after a while, wouldn't you run out of them? Wouldn't you run out of people in general? Furthermore, when people bleed, their blood turns into something to do with their powers, like fire or sparks or petals. This is only mentioned once, but in that moment, it is treated like it happens all the time. The problem here is the main character can't use her powers, and thus her blood is normal, and she makes a big deal of pretending to bleed petals. She bleeds elsewhere in the story and doesn't try to hide it, and nobody notices anything is off. I haven't read any of the next 2 books. I don't recommend anybody touches the first one with a 39.5-foot pole. Just watch any of the following if you're curious. Finally, let's talk about the worst of the worst. Spoilers for the first 3 Mistborn books. I read Empress Theresa maybe 5 years ago after watching Frederick Knudsen's 5-hour live stream and wanting to know if it was really that bad and the author didn't just upload a rough draft to his website. It's booktube cliche to shit on this book, and there's too much lore here for me to get too in depth. However, I have a comparison that I have not yet seen anyone else make on booktube. So you have this girl who gets magic powers by getting white stuff shot into her by a fox. Yes, you heard that right. The government tries to nuke her, so she accidentally stops the weather using this white stuff. Then, you have her trying to fix this by repeatedly nuking the polar ice caps and turning the planet foggy. Then, when that makes things worse, she changes the planet's axial tilt to create an endless summer. Then she does a bunch of other random horse shit, like creating a mud bridge that Israeli people can use to travel to Cyprus, changes the orbit of asteroids so that diamonds are now cheaper, uses a bunch of these asteroid diamonds to cause 24-hour daylight, uses her powers to gang stalk anyone who opposes her, and finally she destroys every weapon in North Korea so that America can invade. Do you know who this sounds like to me? Lord Ruler from Mistborn. He tried to fix his planet by shifting the orbit somewhere hotter in order to destroy the mists, and then when he realized how badly he messed up, he caused a bunch of volcanoes to erupt constantly so that the planet would now be shielded from the new heat. Then he caused plants to become more suited for the ashfall, and then he altered humans so that they could survive these new plants and the ash. Then he altered the landscape to make it easier to rule. The Venn diagram is almost a circle here. Unlike in Mistborn though, Theresa's powers just do whatever the plot needs, and all of her actions are seen as good by everyone except for atheist and Muslim strawmen. I want to see someone write a fanfic where Vin kills Theresa. What pisses me off here is that this magic would have worked better if 1, the author explained how it worked more than just main character girl uses math beyond human understanding, and 2, if he had critically analyzed her actions as he wrote and either made her learn from her mistakes or made her the villain. Alien parasite magic is awesome and I want to see more of it, just not when it's written like this. Do you guys have any magic systems that you hate? Do you have any favorite magic systems? Let me know in the comments below, I might just check them out. I've been Alien Daydreamer, and I am out. Bye!